My aunt called me a disgrace at the family reunion. I smiled, stood up, and best Reddit stories. My name's Ryan. I'm 27, and this happened last Thanksgiving, an event my family now refers to as the reunion. Not because it was particularly warm or joyful, but because it was the last time everyone would be under one roof without it turning ugly. I wasn't planning to go that year, if I'm honest. Life had been messy. I had just switched jobs after a rough layoff, was bouncing between apartments, and had spent the past 2 years trying to pull myself out of a rut I didn't even realize I was in. My mom had begged me to come, said it would be good for me to be around everyone, which, in hindsight, is hilarious. I don't come from a massive family, but there are enough of us to fill a house, especially when the cousins bring their kids. The reunion was at my Uncle Tim's place this time. Big house in the suburbs, high ceilings, those huge windows that make you feel like you're in a catalog. My Aunt Valerie, Uncle Tim's younger sister, had flown in from across the country. That's who this story is about. Valerie has always been loud. She walks into a room, and suddenly everyone's volume goes up by 30%. She's the type of person who talks at you, not with you. And if you ever mention you're doing well, she's mysteriously doing better. Always. My mom used to say she's just insecure, but after a while, that excuse wears thin. When we were kids, she used to pit me and her son Jordan against each other. Every spelling bee, every basketball game, even how fast we finished dinner. I didn't realize it until I was older, but she always made it a competition because she needed Jordan to come out on top. It didn't matter that I never saw it that way. She did. She still does. Anyway, the day before the reunion, I was lying on my too small couch, scrolling through job listings I wouldn't apply to when I saw I had a voicemail. It was from Valerie. That caught me off guard. We'd never exactly been close, and she hadn't even texted me in, I want to say 3 years. I tapped play, curious, and immediately sat upright. Her voice came through, sharp and clear. Ugh, I can't stand Ryan. I don't even know why Tim invited him. He's such an embarrassment. Still floundering, no real job, no relationship, just wasting time pretending he's finding himself, or whatever. I mean, come on, he's almost 30. I told Jordan, if he ever ends up like that, I'll disown him. There was a pause, some rustling, then she kept going. Honestly, I hope he doesn't show up. He's always been weird. Remember when he tried to do stand-up comedy for a year? What a joke. Pun intended. My stomach dropped. I didn't even finish the rest at first. I just sat there, staring at the ceiling like I was waiting for it to explain something to me. I wasn't angry yet. I was confused, embarrassed. You know that awful stomach clench you get when someone talks about you behind your back, and it confirms every fear you already had about how they saw you? Yeah, that. It felt like middle school again, overhearing the popular kids laugh about your haircut. I played it back twice. Then I saved it. Something in me clicked after the second listen. It wasn't the first time Valerie had made me feel small, but it might have been the first time I had actual proof. Evidence. And not just any evidence, her own voice, smug and dripping with cruelty. I wasn't sure what to do with it yet, but I knew I wouldn't let it go. Thanksgiving Day came. I pulled up to Uncle Tim's place a few minutes late on purpose, just so I wouldn't be the first one there. The driveway was already packed, so I parked down the street and walked up. As soon as I opened the door, the noise hit me like a wave, kids screaming, the clatter of dishes, someone laughing too hard in the kitchen. It smelled like turkey and cinnamon and fake cheer. I slipped in quietly, hoping to just blend into the background. That didn't last long. Ryan. Valerie's voice rang out before I even took my coat off. I turned to see her beaming at me, arms open like we were long-lost best friends. Look at you. You made it. I forced a smile. Wouldn't miss it. She gave me a hug, tight and performative, then pulled back to look at me. Still doing that. What was it? Freelance thing? Sort of, I said. I'm working on a few projects. She raised an eyebrow, smirking. Oh, fun. Well, Jordan just got promoted at the firm. Big corner office. We're very proud. Of course he did. I spent the next hour floating through conversations, trying to avoid her, but it was like she was magnetized to me. Every time I thought I could slip away, she was there, reminding me that Jordan was now engaged, that he'd bought his second property, that he might get published in some legal journal. I hadn't even seen Jordan yet. He was probably hiding in the basement like I wished I could. At one point, I went to get some cranberry sauce and Valerie followed me to the kitchen. I heard you moved again, she said, FO concerned. Must be hard, bouncing around. Stability is so important at your age. I'm fine. Thanks, I muttered, trying not to slam the fridge door. I just worry about you, she said, with a syrupy tone that made my teeth clench. Your mom says you're still figuring things out. I guess some people take longer than others. That was it. I had been biting my tongue all afternoon, but that did it. You know, Valerie, I said, setting the cranberry sauce down carefully, you don't have to fake being nice. I know how you feel. She blinked, thrown off. What do you mean? I met her gaze. You left me a voicemail last night. I heard everything. Her face drained of color so fast I thought she might actually faint. Her mouth opened, then closed again like she was searching for a response but couldn't find one. For the first time ever, she was speechless. I walked away before she could recover, heart thudding in my chest. I didn't go far, just into the living room where the rest of the family was gathered. I tried to act casual, chatting with my cousin Ellie about her dog, but I could feel Valerie's eyes burning into the back of my head. Dinner started a little while later. Long table, everyone passing dishes around, laughter. It almost felt normal, but Valerie was quiet. She kept glancing at me like I was holding a grenade. I think she was praying I wouldn't say anything. Then my Uncle Tim stood up to make his usual thankful for family toast. That was when Valerie decided to go full Oscar performance. I just want to say, she said loudly, cutting him off, how grateful I am that we're all together. Even Ryan. She looked right at me, that fake smile plastered on her face. It's good to see you again, honey. Everyone turned to look at me. My mom gave me a small, hopeful smile. Valerie looked smug, like she thought she'd won something. That's when I stood up. I didn't raise my voice. I didn't even look angry. I just said, thanks, Valerie. I wasn't sure I should come this year. But then I got your voicemail. There was a beat of silence. What voicemail? She asked too quickly. I pulled out my phone. The one you accidentally sent me last night. She shook her head, laughing nervously. I don't know what you're talking about. I can play it for everyone if you want. And that's when the room went silent. Valerie's face twitched. Her smile faltered, twitching at the corners like a crumpling mask. I could feel every pair of eyes at that table shift from me to her, then back to me. The room, once buzzing with idle chatter and clinking silverware, had sunk into pure silence. Even the kids at the far end had gone quiet, sensing something was happening. Something not part of the usual Thanksgiving performance. I really don't think. Valerie started, but her voice cracked. And that crack was enough for me to know I had her cornered. I didn't raise my voice. I didn't have to. I tapped my phone screen, scrolled to my saved voicemails, and hit play. Her voice filled the room. Ugh, I can't stand Ryan. I don't even know why Tim invited him. It was surreal, like watching a movie and recognizing your own name in the script. Everyone heard it. Her words, her tone, the arrogance. And the best part? I didn't say a thing. I just let it play, my phone held loosely in my hand. I didn't even look at her. I watched everyone else. Uncle Tim blinked, slowly setting down his glass. My mom looked like someone had punched the air out of her lungs. Jordan had frozen, fork halfway to his mouth, like someone had hit pause on him. Ellie, bless her, gave me a small nod from across the table. She'd always known something was off about Valerie. Then came the end of the message. Pretending he's finding himself, or whatever. I mean, come on, he's almost 30. I told Jordan, if he ever ends up like that, I'll disown him. The silence that followed was electric. Thick. No one breathed. No one moved. And then Valerie laughed. A shaky, brittle thing that sounded more like a machine misfiring than a human sound. Oh, come on, she said, looking around like we were all in on some inside joke. It was private. I didn't mean for him to hear that. People vent. Everyone vents sometimes. But you meant it. I said, still calm. Night, you said it. No one forced you. Ryan, don't be dramatic. She snapped, her voice sharpening. You know I've always pushed you to do better. That's love. Calling me a disgrace is love? I raised an eyebrow. She opened her mouth again, but Uncle Tim cut in. Valerie, stop. She froze. Her brother's voice was quiet, but it carried weight. More than I'd ever heard from him before. He looked at her, then at me. Ryan, I'm sorry you heard that. You shouldn't have been spoken about that way. Not by family. Valerie's face twisted. You're taking his side? No one should be treated like that, he said simply. And just like that, the spotlight turned back to her. All her years of smirks and snide remarks. All the little ways she dug at me, or anyone else she deemed less than her, were suddenly exposed under a microscope. No one was defending her. No one was laughing along. For the first time in my life, Valerie was alone in a room full of people who had finally heard her for who she really was. She stood up, rattling the dishes around her. I'm not going to sit here and be attacked. This is ridiculous. My mom spoke for the first time. Quietly. Valerie, you attacked him first. Valerie blinked like she'd been slapped. She looked around, maybe expecting someone to rescue her. Jordan wouldn't even meet her eyes. She huffed, snatched her purse off the back of the chair, and stormed toward the front door. Everyone stayed frozen in their seats. No one followed her. And just like that, she was gone. But the silence remained. Like we were all stuck in the echo of what just happened. I sat back down slowly, unsure what to do next. My hands were shaking a little. I hadn't planned to play the voicemail like that. I thought I might confront her privately, maybe show my mom later. But in that moment, when she smiled and called me out like she hadn't just trashed me the night before, something in me snapped. And maybe that something had been waiting for years. I looked around. Some faces were stunned. Some were sympathetic. Others just looked tired. Then, for the first time all day, Jordan spoke. His voice was soft. Hey man, I didn't know she said all that. I'm sorry. I nodded. It's not your fault. She's all like that. With everyone. Even me. We didn't say much more after that. But his words hung in the air. There was something new in them. Not quite regret. Not quite solidarity. But something like it. Something that suggested this wasn't just about me. That maybe Valerie's reign of passive aggression and behind-the-back cruelty had been hurting more people than anyone realized. The rest of dinner was awkward, to say the least. No one had much of an appetite anymore. A few people tried to shift the mood. Uncle Tim cracked a dry joke. My cousin Laura passed around pie, like we were still pretending everything was fine. But the atmosphere had changed. Something had fractured. And while it was painful, it also felt necessary. Later that night, after everyone had left and the house had mostly cleared out, I stayed behind to help clean. My mom and I ended up in the kitchen, washing dishes side by side. The hum of the faucet filled the silence for a while, until she finally spoke. I'm proud of you, she said quietly. I didn't say anything right away. I just nodded, the lump in my throat too big to talk around. I didn't cry. Not then. But something softened in me. Something that had been hardened by years of biting my tongue and swallowing my dignity around certain people. For once, I hadn't taken it. And for once, someone else had to. We didn't talk much more that night. I think my mom knew I needed space to process everything, and honestly, I appreciated that more than any pep talk. The car ride home was silent, just the hum of tires on pavement and the occasional flicker of street lights on the windshield. My phone buzzed once Valerie's name. I didn't open it. I didn't even read the preview. I just watched it fade off the screen. The next few days were weird. I wasn't expecting fallout, but apparently that voicemail had hit harder than I realized. Turns out, a lot of people had stories. Quiet stories. Moments they'd brushed off or buried. A comment here. A dig there. Little things that didn't seem worth bringing up at the time, but left scars anyway. The voicemail was like a crack in a dam. Once it split open, everything started pouring out. Ellie texted me first. She said, okay, I know it was tense, but that was legendary. I've wanted to say something to her for years. Then my cousin Laura messaged me on Instagram. Laura texted. She told me I was looking tired at my own wedding. Who says that? Thank you for doing what the rest of us were too afraid to. Even Jordan texted again. It's weird, but I think you snapped me out of something. I've been walking on eggshells around her my whole life. Every message made me feel lighter. Like I wasn't crazy. Like maybe all those times I'd walked away from a family event feeling small or off or vaguely ashamed weren't in my head. Maybe it wasn't me. And then, the group chat happened. We have a family group chat, of course, called The Crew, because my uncle thinks he's cooler than he is. Normally, it's just forwarded memes, baby pics, and the occasional happy birthday chain. But 3 days after Thanksgiving, Valerie sent a message. Valerie texted, I think it's time we talk about what happened. There's been a lot of overreaction, and I'm not going to let my character be dragged through the mud. That was the start of her downfall. At first, no one said anything. Then Ellie replied. Ellie said, overreaction? You literally called Ryan a disgrace in a voicemail you didn't realize you sent. Valerie texted, people say things in private that they don't mean. It's normal. Jordan texted, you meant it. And you've said stuff like that for years. The typing bubbles came and went for a while. Then Uncle Tim chimed in. Uncle Tim said, Valerie, you embarrassed yourself. That's not anyone else's fault. You don't get to blame Ryan for your words. She tried to pivot. Valerie texted, "So now I'm the villain because I have standards? I care about this family's reputation. I was concerned about Ryan." I replied, "You call me a waste of space. That's not concern. That's cruelty." There were more typing bubbles. Then suddenly, Valerie exploded. Wall of text. Capital letters. Passive-aggressive guilt tripping about how she's always been honest. How she's the only one willing to say what everyone else is thinking, and how the family has become soft and dramatic since we all started prioritizing feelings over facts. She even pulled the "I've done so much for this family" card, which was hilarious, because Valerie's version of doing things was showing up late, bringing store-bought cookies, and spending the entire event pointing out who gained weight or who looked tired. That's when Laura finally said what we were all thinking. Laura texted, "You know what, Valerie? You're exhausting. Every time we get together, you make someone feel worse. We've all let it slide for years because you're family. But family doesn't mean immunity. It means accountability." That opened the floodgates. People started chiming in. Nicely, but firmly. Stories came out. The time Valerie mocked Ellie for not going to grad school. The time she told Jordan's ex she wasn't pretty enough to marry into the family. The time she said I was too sensitive after I lost a job and asked for space. Every story stacked on top of the last, building this undeniable picture of someone who had spent years playing queen bee at our expense, and who, for the first time, was finally being told no. And then she snapped. She left the group chat. Like, dramatically. Valerie has left the chat. 10 minutes later, my phone buzzed with a notification Valerie had posted a Facebook status. Full public meltdown. I didn't see it right away, but Ellie screenshotted it. I've never felt so betrayed in my life. I always try to help this family, to keep people honest. But now I see I'm surrounded by weakness and entitlement. If standing up for decency makes me the villain, so be it. I'll remove myself from your drama and pray for you all. Especially Ryan. She tagged me. She tagged me. The post got 3 likes, all from distant relatives we haven't seen in years. Meanwhile, the comments started rolling in, mostly people saying things like, "Maybe time to take a break from social media," or "Sometimes growth means listening, not reacting." Jordan commented, simply, "This isn't helping. Please stop." She deleted the post 2 hours later. By the end of the week, it was clear Valerie had burned her bridges. Not permanently, maybe families are complicated, but enough that she wasn't going to bounce back like she used to. Her phone calls went unanswered. Her guilt trips got ignored. She even tried texting me again. She said, "I hope you're happy. You've turned my own family against me." I didn't reply, because I was happy. Not in a petty way. Well, okay, maybe a little petty. But mostly in the way that comes from finally standing up for yourself and realizing the world doesn't fall apart when you do. That sometimes speaking up doesn't make you the problem, it reveals it. I don't know what's next for Valerie. Last I heard, she was telling mutual relatives she was rethinking who she spends holidays with, which honestly sounds like a win for everyone involved. As for me, I'm doing okay. The family is quieter now. Smaller, but it feels healthier. Less walking on eggshells, more genuine connection. People talk with each other now, not around each other. And yeah, Thanksgiving 2024 will be remembered for a lot of things. It's been a few months now, and things have settled in the best way possible. The next family gathering was smaller, Valerie wasn't there, and no one really asked why. The food tasted better. The conversations were easier. It felt like a group of people who wanted to be around each other, not just people showing up out of obligation. I wouldn't say I took pleasure in how everything went down, but I did feel something close to peace. For the first time in years, I wasn't shrinking myself to fit into someone else's idea of who I should be. I stopped apologizing for figuring things out at my own pace. I realized that just because someone is family doesn't mean they're allowed to treat you like less. Respect isn't automatic. It's earned, and sometimes it's reclaimed. Jordan and I have actually grown closer since everything happened. Funny how that works. We talk more now, not just about family stuff, but real things. Life. Pressure. The weird weight of expectations. Turns out we were both trying to meet a standard that no one ever actually defined. And now, we're building something new. Better. As for Valerie, I haven't heard from her since that last text. Maybe she's still angry. Maybe she's waiting for someone to apologize. But I'm not going to shrink again to make her comfortable. I don't need her validation anymore. Sometimes, the best thing you can do for yourself, and for everyone else, is stop pretending something broken is whole. That's not betrayal. That's honesty. And honestly, I'm proud of myself.